Welcome to our series entitled Blessed Are the Pure in Heart. I'm Father Kevin Barrett, chaplain at the Apostolate for Family Consecration and Family Land Television Network. Our guest today, Peter Kleponis, a clinical psychologist, who is here to speak to us about a document that was written by Bishop Robert Finn of the Kansas City St. Joseph Diocese, dealing with the dangers of pornography. This is a topic that we all need to become more aware of, the dangers of it. It's a real a lie that people are embracing, thinking that it's just entertainment, or it's just me and my computer screen, or I'm not hurting anybody by doing this. The programs that we're going to do are really going to show the far-reaching, devastating effects of pornography, how addictive the pornography can be, but to give people real hope. And we're going to talk about the beauty of human sexuality, God's plan for it, and the true happiness that is to be had, because we're saying blessed or happy are those who are pure in heart, and because you will see God. That's one of the Beatitudes, and the converse, we might say, is true, that if you're not pure of heart, you're not going to be able to see and experience the blessedness and the happiness that God wants for us.
No, you know, in our society today has become so self-centered, and it's all about me and doing what I think is going to make me happy, when really the happiness comes in self-giving, totally giving yourself to God, totally giving yourself to your spouse, to your family. And this is what the Beatitudes do. It talks about that and the ways that you can do that. Right. So it's, you know, the Beatitudes are a wonderful blueprint for happiness.
Well, Peter, before we launch into commenting on this wonderful document, that's not very long either, so I would exhort our viewers and listeners to contact us to see how you can get a hold of this document, because you want to read it, you want to be aware of its contents and share it with your family and peers. But Peter, before we do launch into that commentary, I wanted you to share with our viewers and listeners a little bit of your background. Now, why is it that you're here and I'm interviewing you on this topic?
Well, thank you. Good question. You know, the whole issue of pornography is something that is very prevalent in our society. We see it everywhere. And, you know, I'm a clinical therapist. I've been in practice for over 10 years now, and my background is in marriage and family therapy. And through that, I've been working with a lot of couples, and one of the big issues that they're struggling with is pornography. What's interesting is when I started practicing, again over 10 years ago, the majority of the addictions work that I was doing was in drug and alcohol addiction. Today, I would say that 90% of it is in pornography. It's really widespread, and it's kind of interesting that it's usually the wives that are calling in. They're saying, help, my husband has been using pornography every night. What do I do? How can I help him? And so I've worked with a lot of couples that are struggling with this, and it affects the marriage, it affects the whole family, and, you know, men individually too. So this is a huge issue in our society. And
it's not just one, you said that probably the most vulnerable population, maybe the college student.
Exactly, yeah. You know, parents do a wonderful job at home of monitoring the computer and putting filters on it and making sure that none of the bad stuff comes into the home. But then what happens is they send their kids off to college, usually with their own laptops, and they're totally at risk. They're very vulnerable for all this stuff that happens on campuses. It's become so widespread, it's common on campuses. And this is where they get into trouble.
And then I want to clarify too that not that we're thinking that the only group that is struggling with this are, you know, young adults, you know, or before marriage. I mean, this is going across. In fact, I have an article that was just published recently by Judith Reisman talking about, you know, how it's affecting judges, FBI agents, mayors of cities, you know, clergy. We've had the sex scandals across, you know, clergy of all denominations, but not to think that it's limited to that, because, you know, you have this sex slave trade going on worldwide. I mean, the United Nations having, you know, trying to have meetings annually to try to help stem this a worldwide problem of people losing the focus of what is the purpose of human sexuality, and when we deviate from God's plan for it, which is to make us happy and blessed through the proper use of human sexuality, well then you see the devil has a field day in destroying, first of all, the relationship of people with God, because pornography involves, I mean, Jesus himself said that You know, if a man looks at a woman with lust in his heart, he's already committed the sin with her.
Yeah.
And so that it breaks the relationship of each one of us with our source, God, and then it begins to break down the relationships with spouses, with the proper relationships that we should have with one another, and then in a self-alienation, I think you probably would say.
Exactly. You know, it's part of the culture of death. It really is. You know, people think of, when they think of the culture of death, they think of things like abortion, euthanasia, and so forth. But pornography is also very much a part of the culture of death, and it affects every level of society, from the side of an entire culture where human trafficking has become the norm, unfortunately, or in countries where child pornography has become acceptable, down to how it affects marriages and it tears them apart. It affects all levels of our society, and it needs to be addressed.
Right. Now, Bishop Robert Finn, who we mentioned, he was formerly the editor of the Archdiocesan newspaper of the St. Louis Diocese, and then was made bishop in Kansas City, St. Louis. That diocese has taken a very proactive approach to trying to, first of all, help people be aware of how widespread the problem is, and then to offer practical helps. First of all, getting people to acknowledge the problem and then to seek solutions. And in fact, the document really had those like a twofold purpose.
It did. It was, and he stated in the document that the purpose was to protect and equip, and showing people, first of all, what are the dangers of pornography and how to protect themselves from it and protect their children, but also to equip themselves to be able to teach children about the importance of and the dangers of it, and also what they can do if they find that someone in their family, whether it's themselves or someone they know, is struggling with internet pornography. Where can they go for help, and what can they do?
If you or a loved one suffers from an addiction to pornography, there is hope for overcoming it. Join licensed clinical therapist and nationally certified counselor Peter Kloponis and Apostolate for Family Consecration chaplain Father Kevin Barrett as they explore this vital moral issue in a 6-part series on CD or DVD, inspired by Bishop Robert Finn's acclaimed 2007 pastoral letter, Blessed Are the Pure in Heart. Find out about the damaging effects of pornography on families, adults, and children. Discover the root causes of pornography. Be inspired to strengthen your commitment to practicing purity and chastity while showing compassion for those who struggle against the temptations of pornography. Learn strategies for combating pornography addiction and for helping others overcome it. Be guided in your personal or group studies with a discussion booklet that comes with every CD or DVD. Protect yourself and your loved ones from the dangers of pornography with Blessed Are the Pure in Heart. Get your copy today by calling 1-800-77-FAMILY or visiting us on the web at familyland.org.